The Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG is one of the most expensive card games to play, but with websites like Nikijo Collectibles, Cherry Collectibles, and Australian Yu-Gi-Oh! Auctions, most of the cards you need are only one mouse click away. But what would happen if these sites just disappeared and we were left to source our cards only from sealed product? Rather than relying on these sites, we'd be relying on nothing more than the luck to pull the cards we need to complete our already bullshit expensive Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. Over the coming weeks and months, starting with nothing more than 3 structure decks and a budget of $60 a week, I am going to build a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck with the goal of reaching the Oceanic World Championship qualifying event. Stick around to see me waste hundreds of dollars, open a ton of sealed product, and hopefully kick a few butts along the way. This is sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh! The Shaddoll Showdown. Another week, another product opening. We have a budget of $60. We will see what we can do with it this week. It's time to go back to some Duel Overload. I hate to say it, but we need that Verte Anaconda. So bam, we have a pack of Duel Overload. I found them online on sale for $50. So to go with that, a packet of Cybernetic Horizon to try and grab that Shaddoll Dragon. We're going to see what we can pull. Remember, the more likes the video gets, the more luck we get to pull those cards that we need. We are chasing that Anaconda. I would love some more Phantasmes, Infinite Impermanence. Just give me something. We've had the shittest luck with Duel Overload so far, so I need some luck. And that is on you guys. Like that video, smash that thumb. Let's try and send all the luck into this pack of Duel Overload. I'm going to crack in to see what we can pull. Do you want to see what the giant card is? Let's have a look. Boom. Blue Eyes White Dragon. We're getting Channel of the Kyber Core vibes here. All of the good cards. I'm feeling good about this Duel Overload pack, guys. I really am. We have our 6 packs. You know the drill. No Hulky Fibrax pack in this one. Oh no. Are we in trouble? We'll open up the Cybernetic Horizon one midway through. But we're going to start from left to right and we're going to see how we go. We need that Anaconda. We've got 6 chances. It has to be in here. We're going to put the good card on the back. So we've got a Hysteric Sign. Cybernetic Overflow. Hexa Saucer. Another Diguster Emerald, and an Extra Hero Infernal Devicer. It's a Link 2, but it is not the Verte Anaconda. Let's put it to the side. Kagari, come on. Are you hitting that like button? Are you hitting that thumbs up? Are you leaving comments? I need your support to get that card. So we've got a Blackwing Zephyros, some Angray Sum, Kinyo Sukui, the Transformer guy, and a Chaos Dragon Levineer. Hey, that's pretty good. Not bad. It's not a Verte Anaconda though. Let's get cracking straight into the next pack. We are looking for that snake, guys. Where is it? Come on. Okay, so we have Quadzilla there. Still impressed with those quads. That dude squats. Enma's Judgment. Mystical Space Typhoon. Malefic Territory. Let's have a sneak down the bottom. It's blue. It's a Link 3. And we have a Mecha Phantom Beast, Aurora Dawn. I like the card. We can't use it though. Let's open up our pack of Cybernetic Horizon. 3 to the front. I wonder what the holo's going to be in here. We have a Link Turret. We have a Turning of the World. Crusadia Arborea. Cosmo Brain. We have a White Stingray for our rare. And a Noble Knight Custom for our super. Let's crack into our third last pack of Duel Overload. We need some luck here. We have a Diguster Emerald. Malefic Selector. Card of Fate. Cyframe Lord Omega. Let's have a peek. No. It is a Cyber Dragon Infinity. Wow, we've actually got 2 of the alternate arts in this box. I guess we could have got worse pulls. But still no Anaconda. To the front. Okay, so we have a rank 4 Dreadnought, Smorg, Bloom Harmonist. We're getting plenty of Link monsters in this pack. Quadzilla, let's have a look. It is a Medolce Magellan. I think we've pulled a place out of that now. We have 1 pack to go. 1 more chance to get our Verte Anaconda. This better be it. We have Cubic, Causality, Magical Musketeer Casper, King Dragoon, Speedroid Marble Machine. Let's have a peek down the bottom. It's not a Link monster. It is a Dingirsu of the Orchestra of the Evening Star. It is a rank 8. It is a decent rank 8, but it is not the Link 2 Predaplant monster that we've been looking for half of this freaking series. But there's always next week. I'm going to have to get my hands on some more Dual Overload. We need another opportunity to pull that Verte Anaconda. It's time to put a deck together. I'll see you after. We are back with Week 7's deck update. I hope you enjoyed the opening. I did not. I think I just pissed $55 down the toilet into this cardboard. But with that being said, the show must go on. We see in front of me here I have the changes that I'm making to the deck. After last week's piss poor effort with Stilts Launcher and my inability to read my own Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I'm going to take this guy out and replace it with the copy of Chaos Dragon Levineer that we pulled this week. One of the decent pulls that we finally got out of Dual Overload. Hopefully it won't be the last because we still need that damn Anaconda. But this guy here, using light or dark materials from the graveyard, we can put him on the field and use one of 3 different effects. He's been a beast in the Dragon decks just recently, so hopefully he's going to be able to help us out and maybe cause a little disruption for our opponent. The only other change I wanted to make to the deck is to support the Chaos Dragon Levineer choice a little bit further. I've taken out a copy of Mathematician and put in a copy of Armageddon Knight. They're basically exactly the same card, however the biggest difference is Mathematician is an earth monster, whereas Armageddon Knight is a dark. So if we can use Armageddon Knight's effect, get him in the graveyard, we're also already going to have a material there to use for the summon of Chaos Dragon Levineer when we get it in our hand. I'm going to be honest with you, we're going to have to hard draw Levineer because we've got no way to search it, but I think just like with BLS or anything like that, if we can get lucky, we can get lucky. This is a game of chance. We can have the most consistent deck we can possibly put on the field right now, but we still need to draw the cards that we need. There were no other changes to the deck. I'm leaving the side deck exactly the same. I'm going to leave the extra deck exactly the same. I do have the extra material for Winder now, so we might see a little bit more of her as the day goes on. The good news is that we are playing live Yu-Gi-Oh this week. The Dark Magician has reopened its doors to run a small local tournament for its most loyal players. Lucky enough, I was on the list. I got a call up, so I'll be taking the sealed only deck and once again playing some face-to-face Yu-Gi-Oh. This will be only the second time I've played with this deck face-to-face. Fingers crossed, the second time will be just as successful as the first. Leave a comment down below with what you think of the changes we've made this week. Do you think Chaos Dragon Levineer is going to cause some disruptions to the opponent, or is it just another level 8 brick I can throw in my deck to make it look a little bit shinier? Yes, that is why I put this in the deck, to make it a little bit shinier. Let's go and play some Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll see you on the other side for the weekly wrap up. We are back and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Face to Face. This is round 8. We are currently sitting at a 42% winning percentage. We need to improve that back to at least 50%. Can we do it this week? Round 1 was up against the Rocket deck, like you just saw on the screen, and we are going to see how our real-life sealed-only deck is going to go against one of the top meta contenders. We've gone straight into an Shaddoll Wendi here. That limits the special summons. We flipped up Shaddoll Beast. Now I really need to get better at making sure that I discard off Beast's draw 2 effect. I don't think it would have really changed the outcome of this duel, but who knows what would have happened had I have actually discarded it correctly. So what I was able to do here is I was able to normal summon another spellcaster to go into Union Carrier. I was able to use Union Carrier's effect to then search out the Wizard Buster, attach it to the Shaddoll Wendi. That both not only limited the amount of special summons from each player, but turned off the opponent's graveyard. I do know Rockets rely heavily on their graveyard at the end phase to get the advantage that they would have netted previous to that, but that Wizard Buster would mean that I would be able to control pretty much everything that went on. As you can see, all he was able to do during his turn was to set one card face down, and then it was all back over to me, and this is where I went into that massive push, bringing out an Shaddoll construct, a Shaddoll Beast. So now we will be able to basically go into the battle phase, swing away, and take game 1 fairly easily. Going into game 2, once again, the Shaddoll Wendi comes out first turn. I know how reliant the Rocket deck is on the special summoning, so I knew that I had to get that Wendi out nice and early. All he could do was pretty much T-set, and it was back to me. I set a Wendi face down, Shaddoll Cause on the field, I pass my turn, and I want to know what he can do. He specials from the graveyard, brings out a Borrow Load Savage Dragon, but doesn't have any link monsters in the graveyard to attach to get the negate effect. He does swing over the Wendi. Sorry, the Wendi. I flip summon the Wendi during my turn, get a special summon, go into a Shaddoll Fusion, using monsters from my deck. There goes the Damage Juggler, and of course the Ariel, where I will then banish his graveyard. Beautiful. It's great to see the Shaddoll cards actually showing some synergy. I then use Reeshaddoll Incarnation's effect to flip summon what I believe was a dragon, so I could send his Borrow Load Savage Dragon back to the deck and leave him with absolutely nothing on the field. The next thing I needed to do was to try and play around that back row card, but I'm not actually sure what it was. It turns out that it was really nothing that I needed to worry about too much, but here he goes. He plays with the Squib Draw and pretty much passes back. I'm pretty sure that Squib Draw should have gone to the graveyard. What I was able to do here though, I was able to special summon Chaos Dragon Levineer out of my hand by banishing 3 monsters. This would give me the opportunity to get rid of one of the cards in his hand and shuffle it back into the deck. I was then able to use Union Carrier's effect to attach Wizard Buster to turn off graveyard effects, swing for game, and that gives us the first round win. We are sitting X0 after 1 round, moving into game 2. Match 2 was against Invoked Psyframe. Now I remember coming up against this deck in the last regionals I played in. Same pilot. Cameron, if you're watching this, well done on the match, buddy. You really know how to pilot this deck quite well. The one card there is the one card he has face down on the field. That is the worst card to play against, and that is Psyframe Overload. What a bitch of a card. It is really hard to get past. He's got Psyframe Circuit on the field as well as an Almirage and an Invoked Macabre. He was able to use the Psyframe Overload to banish the first Shaddoll construct that I summoned. You'll see later on that I go through quite a few copies of our deck bay in this duel, but let's just see how it plays out. After he banished the construct, I really didn't have a lot of things I could do, so I really had to take my time and work out what I was actually going to do for the next play, just so I could have some sort of board presence and he wouldn't just go in and blow me out straight away during the next turn. So I've gone into use 2 Dark Monsters to go into the Union Carrier here. He wasn't quite sure what Union Carrier did, so he did actually have to read it. Knowing that I couldn't get Wizard Buster out, there's not a lot I could do at that point. I did use Zephyros the Elite's effect to bring it back by bouncing the Trick Clown back to my hand. I then used Shaddoll Fusion to go into an Shaddoll Wendi. I did use the Wizard Buster effect from Union Carrier to attach it to Wendi, putting it up to 3200. I did remember that he had the Alistair in hand, so he would be able to boost the attack of Macabre, so I could not get it off the field. I didn't decide to swing into it, so I was then able to set a couple of back row and end my turn. He used Overload's effect, of course, to banish Winder in his standby phase, and he left me with an empty board. I was able to use a Necro Fusion to banish 2 monsters face down from my graveyard to special summon a fusion monster. I went into the a copy of Apcalone. So it was Cameron's turn here, and he's just going off. He decides to swing away. I draw for turn. I believe for this turn I drew an El Shaddoll Fusion. I flip summon a Wendi. I'm pretty sure I set a Beast, which I was able to flip up using a Reeshaddoll Fusion. I activated Foolish Burial, sending a Squamata. I used the Squamata effect, I believe, to send an Ariel, so I'd be able to banish some stuff from his graveyard. At that point, I probably should have actually sent the Beast. Sorry, the Dragon, so I could have popped one of his back row cards, tried to get rid of that side frame overload. Gone into an El Shaddoll construct here. Activated a Pot of Avarice. Sent back some monsters. As you can see, I've done a little bit of clipping here, so let me know in the comments if some of the clippings actually got in the way of what's going on. This is still game 1. He's got a Lambda on the field, so now he can use his side frame monsters from his hand, even though he does control the monster. This is where side frames start to get really, really ugly. He does have the circuit on board as well, so I do know that he is also able to synchro summon during my turn after he uses their effects. So with an Apcalone on the field, this was such a long duel. We pretty much used, I think, probably 30 of the 35 minutes just in game 1. It went on for a long time. I was able to banish monsters from my graveyard to get Chaos Dragon Levineer on the field. Again, was able to send a card back to the deck, but by then I think it was a little bit too late. There wasn't a lot I could do. He did have access to one of his fusion cards, one of his synchros, sorry, and I think it's Zeta that does the on-field banishing. I managed to get a Winder on board as well. I knew that he had some side frames in hand. I wasn't sure what it was though. I just had to be really careful. Zeta came back along with my Chaos Dragon Levineer. I do have 3 monsters on board, and I thought I was sitting in a pretty good position. He normal summoned the Alistair, was able to search out the Invocation. He's used a monster from my graveyard to go into another Macabre. That turns off basically any sort of monster effect that I do have. Not that I have a lot to do, but he swings into my Winder. I don't know if I could have used Winder's effect there to get a card back, but I probably should have looked in my graveyard to see if there was a fusion spell in there to bring back to my hand. It's really good when you're watching these duels back to learn the mistakes you make so you can't make them again. I'm still sitting in a fairly good position at this point. I banished a couple of monsters from my graveyard. I think that was him who did that. I activated Deck Lockdown. Chaos Dragon Levineer comes back to the field off of the Zeta. Now he's sitting in a better position than I am with 2 monsters on the field, and one of those is a negate for pretty much anything. And the worst card to top deck at this stage of the duel is a Super Poly. And there goes game 1. Yeah, we lost that one. It is unfortunate, but game 2 is always another opportunity. We get straight into Foolish Burial. We send the Squamata and then the Wendi, and then I think we set a Hedgehog there. We don't have access to any of our fusion spells yet, so we do need to make sure that we see one of our fusion spells fairly soon. We use Armageddon Knight to send the Zephyros the Elite, but there's not a lot else we can do this turn. I think we're going to set the Necrofusion face down, and all we can pretty much do is pass turn. You might have heard in the background that the siren just went on. That is the time siren, giving us 5 minutes left to play. I was able to get rid of his Macabre with the Jizakuru, special summon my own Jizakuru, crash into it, and do a little bit of damage. Set a couple of cards, set one face down, and I was able to pass turn. He normal summons an Alistair, grabs out an Invocation, and he starts making plays that I just don't have enough to handle. We lost game 2, taking our record for the day to 1 win, 1 loss. Round 3 was up against Shaddoll Invoked. I was a little bit worried about how I would be able to face up against such a powerful deck, but just like the Rocket player that I played earlier on, it turns out that he was still just learning the deck, and I know my Shaddoll deck quite well, so I was actually able to take advantage of that. Along the way, I was able to give him a few tips, and we did have a good discussion after the duel about how to play the deck optimally and how to make those more optimal plays. He said he'd only had the deck for a little while, especially the Invoked engine, so it was great having a chat with another Shaddoll player just to see what his ideas were and if he was willing to make any of those adjustments that he thought he may have needed to. I did find out later on that he was running a Shaddoll Falco, which, yeah, most Shaddoll players have cut these days. But back to the duel. He got a fairly decent first turn board going on. I was able to actually bring out an App Cologne with a Shaddoll Fusion straight up, negating the effect of his Construct. Knowing that Construct would actually send any of my special summon monsters to the graveyard, I really had to get rid of that card pretty quickly. Using App Cologne to negate it was the perfect way to do it. Obviously, still not the same amount of... I basically still had to find something big enough to attack over the top of it, though. So going into an El Shaddoll Fusion here. Nope, not an El Shaddoll Fusion. I was Reeshaddoll Incarnation into the Dragon to send back, I think it was a face down Hedgehog. I brought out the Union Carrier here, knowing that if I could turn off his graveyard, good things were going to happen. Attaching the Wizard Buster from the deck definitely put him at a disadvantage here. It would have been really good if I could have got a Winder on the field to back up all of this, but it didn't happen. I was then able to use some other cards, go into my battle phase, start dealing some damage. On the right hand side of the field, as you can see, we do have a Winder set up for our next turn, and we are sitting in a fairly good position. I've set one, and then I've passed it back to him. He's gone into a copy of Shaddoll Fusion, he's gone into his deck, and he is going to use some fuel from his deck. I believe he is going to go into another copy of App Cologne, I believe, so he can do some negating of his own. He sent a Wendi to the graveyard. Was able to special summon. I believe that was a misplay. No, he didn't. He actually negated the Winder with his App Cologne, so that is all legal. He was then able to go into a Shaddoll Fusion. I believe that is another El Shaddoll Construct on the field, and he is going to then start dealing some damage of his own. Again, this was another fairly long duel one. As you can see, I have snipped parts out of it that did take a little bit. What I have noticed over the editing phase is the fact that we spend a lot of time as Yu-Gi-Oh players shuffling cards. I went through and I snipped out most of the shuffling out of all 4 of these duels, and it did bring the length of the video down by about 4 minutes over 4 duels. That is quite interesting. So as you can see, he's going into his battle phase. His App Cologne attacks into my Winder, sending it to the graveyard. Remembering its effects negated, he then links off into Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. Passes his turn to me. I have a look at my graveyard, I have a look at what's in my hand as well, and I know I need to do something here. I go into an El Shaddoll Fusion, go straight into my deck to start using some materials from in there. As you can see, the deck's looking pretty thin. I do find it quite easy to go through some resources while I'm playing, so I do enjoy the consistency that the last couple of weeks have brought us. So there's a El Shaddoll Construct on the field. Using the effects, I'm able to start filling the graveyard again. There's a a Wendi in there. I sent a Reeshaddoll Incarnation, and I'm able to special summon an Ariel to the field. I feel like I'm sitting in a fairly comfortable position. I know I've got a lot of backup plays. I'm then able to link off into Bajinki Ahashima, where I can use its effect to bring back a level 4 monster from my graveyard and then special summon one from my hand. That'll then let me it'll let me overlay into a rank 4, which is at the moment Daigusto Emerald, and I'm able to shuffle 3 monsters back and draw 1 card. What I am going to be needing in the future is something a little bit better than Daigusto Emerald. I would like to maybe start looking at a copy of maybe Abyss Dweller, but I do know that Performage Trapeze Magician is an OTK enabler as well, so it might be a good idea to maybe put one of those in the arsenal as well. I do have some more Clash of Rebellion to open up in chasing of the rest of the Clown engine that I'm looking for, so that'll give me an opportunity to also chase down one of those rare cards too. So as you can see, I've got Chaos Drake and Levineer on the field, and we have such a huge board. Levineer has really put in work today. I'm glad I decided to run it in the deck. We are able to do some significant damage this turn. End game 1. And game 2 is about to kick off now. He sets up a board of Purgatrio, Invoked Raijin, and a face down, I think, Falco. I'm able to straight up get rid of the it's a Kaliga. Get rid of the Kaliga. Use Shaddoll Fusion from my deck. Send a Trick Clown to special summon the El Shaddoll Construct, using the effect to bring back Trick Clown, send the Reeshaddoll Incarnation, and do some special summoning also. I use Incarnation to flip summon Beast, draw a couple of cards, and you probably heard the ringing time siren in the background as well. We have 5 minutes to go. I do think I can finish the duel in that time, but let's see how it goes. Once again, El Shaddoll Fusion going into an El Shaddoll Construct. Using the effects, we have a board full of monsters. I believe I am able to go into a 3rd copy of Construct here, using the El Shaddoll Construct's fusion ability, sending a Squamata and a damage Juggler to bring out the 3rd copy. It's funny how I was still not able to put lethal damage on board, but that was a really good turn. 3 El Shaddoll Constructs all in one turn. That's the hat trick, baby. That's why we play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's turns like that that make me remember just how powerful the Shaddoll deck is. Standby phase of the next turn, I was able to activate Necro Fusion to bring out a El Shaddoll Wendi to shut off his special summoning. He's able to use Shaddoll Fusion, sending some materials to the graveyard, but eating up his normal summon eating up his special summon for the turn with that 1 card. He swings into El Shaddoll Construct, and that is it. I'm able to use Ariel's effect to do some banishing from the graveyard. It doesn't really matter though, we are running short on time. I'm definitely in the most advantageous position here, and I'm about to again take the victory for this match. We are on the countdown. He swings into the Shaddoll Construct Link monster. I take a little bit of damage, but all he can do is pass turn, and game 2 is over, and we are 2-1. This is probably the most successful we've been so far. Like I said, it's so good playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In real life. Don't forget to let me know in the comments, when do you guys go back to real Yu-Gi-Oh! I do know that most organised play is actually suspended at the moment, and I'm sure you're all champing at the bit to get back on the tables again. So yeah, let me know. Are your locals starting up? Have you been playing online locals? And are you ready to get back into some real face-to-face dueling? So as you can see, round 4 was up against the Crusadia deck. Jared is a good mate of mine, so we always usually have some pretty rad duels. He starts up with a copy of FA Dawn Dragster, a Crusadia Equimax, and a boosted Gameciel because he was able to use Saryuja, the Skull Dread, to actually boost it up. I'm able to clear the board quite easily. The FA Dawn Dragster was gone with Super Poly. I can attack over his Crusadia Equimax. This is where I misplayed. I actually forgot that the effect of El Shaddoll Construct is mandatory. So had that effect gone off, she actually would have probably been negated by Gameciel, because there are enough counters on Qadshaddoll Waterfront in the opponent's field zone to actually negate and banish my construct.
that probably would have changed the outcome of this duel, because you'll see in the next couple of turns that Jared runs out of resources quite quickly and actually has to concede the game. We are going into what I believe to be the main phase 2 here. Looking to do some special summoning. We are going to special summon our Shaddoll Core into the monster zone. We're going to link that off into Union Carrier as a beast, and Shaddoll Core are spellcasters. We need to find a way to get over the defense position Gamma Seal that's sitting on 3300 defense. So we've used Union Carrier to bring out a light monster that we can actually attach to construct. It's a bit of a waste, but it's the only way I could get over that monster to start with. There aren't enough counters on the Gamma Seal or on the Kyoto Waterfront to perform another negate. So this is where I've activated Union Carrier's effect to attach a Trick Clown. The best part about it is when the Trick Clown does eventually get sent to the graveyard, I will be able to use its effect to pay 1,000 life points to bring it back out in a monster zone this time though. Finally swung over the Gamma Seal. I basically cleared his board and I am able to do some damage. He goes into a normal summon, but soon after that has to concede the duel because he just says that he's run out of resources here. So we go into game 2. I can't do a lot. I didn't draw the greatest hand. Handful of spell cards and a Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, which will hopefully give me the opportunity to reset a pretty shit hand. So he starts going into the Crusadia plays. He's linking, he's special summoning. I swear he maybe did 3 or 4, maybe 50 special summons that turn. But he did say at the start of the game that he didn't have the most optimal hand. What you will see is a couple of misplays on both our parts here. But it is good to watch this duel back so we can actually get better as players. I can't say enough just how good it is to watch yourself play on camera so you know where those common errors are. There is a good chance that if you do notice yourself making an error, you're making that error over and over again, and watching yourself back is a good opportunity for you to learn from those mistakes and hopefully not make them again next time. I'll definitely know in the future that I need to discard off of Beast, and El Shaddoll Constructor does actually have a mandatory effect that must activate. So all I'm doing here is biding my time for when I'm actually going to drop the Phantasme on the field. Now is that time. I'm going to draw 2 cards because he has 1 Link monster on the board. And I'm going to shuffle 1 back into the deck. All I needed at that point was a monster card, and I was able to draw into the Shaddoll Beast. I'm able to go into a Winder here, which is basically going to shut off his turn. I think it's either a Spatha. I think it's a Spatha he's got on the field. Isn't big enough to get over the Winder. So I do think he is pretty much going to have to leave it to me. He does have the Kyoto Waterfront on the field, and he is racking up counters. He can't do much just yet though. He's got 1 card face down. I've drawn for turn. Can't use the Super Poly just yet, but I have gone into a Shaddoll Fusion. Sending a couple of materials to the graveyard directly from the deck. I'm able to put the Water Shaddoll, El Shaddoll, Annoyatalis on the field. Now, I didn't so much use this for Annoyatalis as a graveyard negating or spell card negating effect, but I did want to clear the resources from his graveyard. I don't know the Crusadia deck 100%, but I do know they have the ability to bring the resources back, especially the Draco if he is playing the World Legacy Guard Dragon as well. So as you can see my hand there, I have a Super Poly, I have a Necro Fusion, and I have a Reeshaddoll Incarnation. I had a fairly set up board. Jared said he had nothing, so that was it. We were able to win 3 out of our 4 matches today. I was so pumped to get back. As you can see, our total record is now 11 wins, 11 losses, and 1 draw, giving us a total win percentage of 47.8.
Wow, it is so good to be back playing real life Yu-Gi-Oh again. I can't believe how much I've just missed playing it face to face. It's one of those things where playing online is great to practice, but until you get in front of another person putting cards on a table, it's really when you start to work out how good your deck actually is. So while I'm going through the recap, I will inlay the openings from the packs that I won today. The other good part about having a real life locals is the fact that I'm back to getting some prize packs. So I will put the video up here somewhere for
for you to watch as I go through the recap. So locals today, mate, was 4 rounds and we came home with 3 wins. We went 3-1 and I felt like the deck played really well. The inclusion of Shaddoll Dragon, Levineer, I think did wonders for the deck. It did give us a disruption when we were able to get it on the field. It was a bit of overkill in one of the duels as well, but it did feel good banishing monsters from the graveyard to put that big boy on the field and do some damage with it. The one issue that we did have trouble with today was deciphering an Invoked deck. It was a bitch to play around, banishing that first construct in that first turn with overload was really difficult for me to then try and come back from. So maybe we do need to reconsider some main deck back row removal, but I don't expect to be coming up against that deck too often. But other than that, I was really quite happy with the way the deck functioned. Moving on to next week, I am hoping to be able to bring the win percentage back to above 50%. We are sitting at about 47%, as you would have seen at the end of the duels. So fingers crossed, if another 4-round tournament we can come up with another 3-1 record, we should be able to bring that 50% plus record back on track. I would like to get it up to 60 or 70 to really make the deck competitive, but we'll see how we go. Episode 8 is going to be some more duel overload. We still need to pull that Anaconda. As you would have seen today, the fact that we weren't sometimes able to draw into the spell cards that we needed, we did rely on using Wendy's effect to special summon the Hedgehog face down so we could get into one of our fusion spells. It is quite easy to get 2 monsters on the field though, which means if we can get 2 monsters on the field, link into the Verte Anaconda, we can then send Shaddoll Fusion to the graveyard and then use either materials from our hand, the field, or our deck if there's another monster on the field from the extra deck on the opponent's side to make our Shaddoll Fusion monsters and to get the ball rolling in terms of some graveyard effects happening. The Buster Dragon, or the Buster Wizard or Wizard Buster combo today came off a few times, worked really well in the mirror match, worked really well in the rocket matchup as well. I will say that a couple of the opponents that I did play against over the weekend aren't the most experienced players, and a lot of them were just learning their decks and what the combos actually did. I myself made a few misplays along the way. It's been so long since I've been at the table playing that I forgot that Qadshaddoll Construct's effect was actually a mandatory effect, and there was a couple of times in the last duel there where I probably that effect should have gone off, and it may have somehow changed and impacted the way the duel went anyway. The other thing that I need to remember is that Shaddoll Beast I have to discard. You'll see a couple of times in there where I've flip summoned Beast, drawn 2, and I haven't thrown one in the graveyard. So I really need to get on top of that before I start taking this deck into more competitive, more premier sort of events. But there's nothing on the radar of that significance yet. There's a few more locals coming up and I will be getting involved in that. I'm just glad to be back playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. I really hope you guys stuck around for this. It is great to be back on the tables again. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the real life Yu-Gi-Oh, and has your locals started playing again? That's what I want to know. Everyone wants to be back. So let me know in the comments if your locals are playing cards again, or have you got an estimated time that they will be restarting. Have a fantastic week, and hopefully you'll stay tuned for I think it's episode 8 next week. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one.